Some information is filtering through on South African teacher Pierre Korkie, who's being held by kidnappers in Yemen. Gift of the Givers says this is being fed through from a sheik belonging to the same tribe as previous hostage negotiator al-Hamati. He's been in contact with tribal leaders in Abyan, an area with a strong al-Qaeda presence. Joining us now is Director of Gift of the Givers, Dr. Imtiaz Suleiman. Thanks very much for coming in, Dr. Suleiman. The story has become very complex in the last few weeks. I'm going to start from the 14th of February when you approached Anas al-Hamati's tribal leader to find out how best you could proceed with negotiations. What was the advice he gave you?
He said the best way to follow is to speak to tribal leaders in the Al-Qaeda area. He said, look, I don't know which one because the area is spread, but we have to try. But he first suggested that we speak to the tribal sheikh. Now, tribal sheikh and a higher person in the tribal group. So we spoke to the sheikh on the Friday the 14th. On the 15th, the sheikh said, I will try my best. I can't promise. I'll make some calls. And he made some calls to people in Abyan. One sheikh from the Abyan area responded from one of the different tribes there. He said, look, he said the same thing. I can't promise anything. It's very hard to find these people, but I will try. He gets back a little while later and he says, look, I made contact with Al-Qaeda. Now we're taking this on face value on what he has said. I spoke to Al-Qaeda. He refuses to speak to you, meaning the tribal sheikh from Anas's group. He said, tell that tribal leader from Anas's group that they must hand Anas over to us. Anas has stolen our money. They were very angry. And we refused to speak to that tribal leader. But as the conversation went on, they said, look, Pierre is alive. They said, but he's in very bad health. Further, they went to say that Pierre is deaf. And they went on to say that we can only talk to him by writing notes on paper. Now, the only people who know that is us and Yolandi. Nobody else knows that. So that's true in what he is saying. But again, it's coming through a third party. And then he said, look, we can tell you this information, but we don't have Pierre with us. We are a different group. We are Al-Qaeda, but we are a different leadership in this area. Pierre is under another different leadership in another area. That's all we can tell you. So then they communicated to Anas's tribal sheikh, and then he said, look, what can you do for me? So the Abyan sheikh said, look, I don't promise anything. I will try to find the area where they're keeping Pierre. I need to speak to other people in different area. But from that Saturday up till this Monday, nothing happened.
Has anything happened in the last 24 hours?
Well, Monday evening, we decided we can't sit waiting for something to happen. It's just sitting doing nothing. So Monday night, we came up with another idea. Anas's tribal sheikh then said, I will send 2 of my best people blindly into Abyan province to try to meet this sheikh that we spoke to say, look, we are very serious about doing something. So they went Monday. They got there yesterday afternoon. They had a very good meeting. For the first time, I felt really positive. They had a very good meeting, and the tribal sheikh from Abyan said, look, I promise I will really go out of my way to do my best for you. But remember, it takes up to 7 days to get an appointment with Al-Qaeda. And the leadership is in a mountain somewhere. So we have to trace the leadership, and once we trace them, it can take 7 days or longer to get that meeting. But we're going to do our best. We don't promise anything. And that's where it was yesterday.
So there's a glimmer of hope after all these weeks that you could, for the first time in a long time, now be speaking to the right people.
Yes. I mean, without that, look, it's 30 days now. Last night was exactly 30 days from the 26th of January that all communication with Al-Qaeda was gone. And without that, it's as simple as this, Joanne. If you give me $3 million right now, I can't even tell them I have the money because I can't find them. They find you. And, you know, it's very impossible. The leader said, look, the foot soldiers don't know who the Al-Qaeda leaders are. Nobody knows who they are. They live in the mountains. There's 2 or 3 people who know. And we have to make out so many messages for those 2 or 3 people to know, to get the message to the leadership. They said, look, they don't use mobile phones. They do things physically. They drive to each other and they write handwritten notes and they give it. It's an impossible task to find them. So we have to keep making noises till somebody contacts us, like how we were contacted, and wait. But it says, look, it can take 7 days, maybe shorter, but give me time.
Know more about your world.
eNCA.com